On this week's episode of the Superhero Show, we'll find out if a supernatural badass bitch can take down the hellhounds who are sent to her because of things she's done in the past in Wynonna Earp Vengeance. If a supernatural badass bitch can take down the hellhounds who are sent to her because of things she's done in the past in Agatha All Along. And if any of that also happens in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All of that and more on an all-new episode of the Superhero Show. What's up, nerds? Welcome to the Superhero Show, a podcast where friends gather each week to talk about their favorite comic book TV show that came out that week. This week, my name's Cassie. Before I get to the other people, I wanted to immediately jump over myself to get to the guest because I love them that much. But I'm going to introduce me first. My name is Cassie. I am the host. Now to the people I love. Ryan?
On-air notes, are we still doing that?
I don't think so. I feel like I kind of gave myself feedback in that one, and I feel like I maybe covered it, but I guess if you want to take another shot at it as well.
Well, sure. I mean, what is feedback without more feedback? And I would say an egregiously long introduction for yourself. And you just sort of threw it to me, so you didn't list any of my accolades, my diplomas. You can see them behind me on the wall.
Yeah. I see a master of in doo-doo, a master in farts. Is this what you wanted? Are these your many accolades you wanted me to proclaim?
You know, I love it because the only note that Mike ever has, and I don't even know if he's on the show, but the only note he ever has is we talk about poop too much in the intro, and you just fucking brought it here, and I love it, Cassie.
Minute in. Listen, I didn't bring it in. You brought it in when you were like, look at my degrees. Look at them and mention them. That was on you. Don't put that on me.
It's my fault that I bought a printer, it broke. Bought another printer, it broke. Bought another printer, it finally worked, and I printed out certificates that said Master of Doo-Doo, Master of Farts, and then framed them. That's my fault. I disagree.
On you. And the fact that we can't have a single conversation with you being like, oh, excuse me, address the degrees, and then speak to me.
I'm sorry, Cassie. All I can hear is...
I do like that they're both from Dookie University.
Oh, there he is. There he is. That's our good friend, Mike. Mike, welcome to the pod, and what a way to come in.
If he can't beat him, join him, I guess.
Is Dookie University... Is Dookie University your second favorite college?
Yes.
Only to Brown.
Yep.
Come on.
Come on.
Poop is Brown.
We've set up such a dangerous intro for Ryan. We could give him 5 minutes and he could just go. Mike,
Dude, riff on Vassar.
Go.
Vassar didn't even know her before I asked her to poop on me and then paid her a normal amount of money that most people do.
Hey, new listeners.
Again, I would say like this is out of the norm, but it's not. It's not. So yeah, welcome new listeners. This is it. If you are new, this is all it's gonna be. You're in. Buckle in, buddies.
You're in.
Hey, Cassie, before the theme song, did you tell people like the three things that we're gonna be talking about tonight, just so like to entice them, so maybe they don't drop from this?
Yeah, and it definitely was three things, and it was very clear what it was going to be. I believe I said doo-doo, we're going to talk about fart, and we're going to talk about pee-pee. Those were the three that I said. Watch Mike slowly die. For people...
I'm now starting to come around. Maybe we're hurting ourselves by talking about comic book-based television.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were only scatological...
Just doo-doo and
people
pee-pee?
would be into it. Just all dudes and all peeps... And people would be into it.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to talk about. Number 1, piss. Number 2, shit.
Perfect.
Is Mike trying to do some reverse psychology on us?
Probably.
The Holy Trinity. The two, piss and shit.
All right. I think we got it all out of the top. I think we're fine. The rest of the show, we can now focus on comic book TV shows. We got some good ones to talk about. So later on, we're going to be talking about the premiere of Agatha All Along, as well as Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the long-awaited movie of our dreams, Wynonna Earp, Vengeance. 3 years after Wynonna Earp ended, the gang is back. Tubi brings Wynonna, Doc Holliday, Waverly, Nicole Hott, and some of the old regulars back for another ride. A demon from the past is out for vengeance, and the Earp family is here to fight back with magic guns, sexual innuendo, and queer love. Taste buds, I ask you this. How does Wynonna Earp vengeance justify its runtime?
Can I go first, Mike?
I'll allow it.
Thank you. I would say that there is roughly as much plot as your average episode, if not less, in this movie. Uh-huh. And I could not have enjoyed it more because they very clearly understood that I want these characters sitting around a table telling bad. There's something about me that just loves 3 to 5 friends doing nothing but telling awful jokes that make each other laugh.
That it shines when they're doing that, and maybe it always did. And like I felt myself having to remember the Earp flavor and like having to get in it with like, okay, it's not a quality. Like they don't have money, which also means the writing doesn't have time to be good somehow. But the actors are very charming, and so anytime it was that and it was character based, loved it. But then there were so many long, stupid fights and bad CGI and people kind of forgetting how to be what character they are. Waverly does not remember who Waverly was by the end of the show. Hot and Wynonna, like, I don't love that they rehashed beats. The show rehashed a bunch. But then they all arced to a point, and this movie went, what if none of them ever arced ever? And we should have those conversations again.
Well, I saw this thing online because it was on. People were talking about it on Reddit and stuff, where this was called a reboot, and I don't think it's that. Like, this is not. This is the worst starting place. Like, I would pick any episode of the series to start over this. This is the thing where, like, you know, we talk about Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire or. Beetlejuice, and we're like, how much fan service is this? This is only fan service. Like,
only.
This is the worst place to start. But as a fan, I loved it. As far as all the characters go, I do think that Waverly is the one who stands out the most. Waverly, Dominique Prost, is the person who seems to have lost it. Or maybe she arced more than anybody else on the show. But, like, it seemed like everybody in the limo ride to the set watched a DVD season or two to get back into it, and she was not there.
She's
to the point.
She's at a whole new place for her character, though, right? Like I was in and out of Wynonna Earp, so I don't know it that well. But she
and Doc would say I would love to be in and out of Wynonna Earp, but please, Cassie, continue.
Good. I'm glad you're always there for those. But isn't she like this is the first time she's like away from Purgatory and trying to do this whole new life bit, like. Which I guess is just gambling and running. That's
Wynonna.
Yeah.
That's the main character. He's saying Waverly, her younger sister with the pixie haircut.
Absolutely. Yep. Now we're on the same page, and now I fully understand.
Because if you're saying Melanie Scarafano is not honed in to who Wynonna is, we're going to fucking fight.
That's
Cassie.
where I was confused. So I didn't know what was happening.
No.
But yes, absolutely. I can understand where this was coming from. So much so that I thought that was a different actor and had to confirm it was the same person.
But Waverly, even though the writing is like her getting in a bar fight on Wynonna's side is not who Waverly is. And it's not like, oh, this makes sense now. Like I don't know. It felt, there's a lot of parts that kind of felt rushed while also taking way too long. I don't know. It was fun. I liked seeing these people again.
Okay, to find the positive.
Let's get to a positive, okay? Plot aside, I honestly don't know if we're going to go through the plot at all in this entire segment.
Let's not.
But plot aside, the fact that they had Wynonna come back to Purgatory and have these moments with each character in like basically the first half of the movie. Those were, aside from the sitting around the kitchen table having these jokes, those were the best parts to me because it did a great job of like sort of summing up their relationships and having drama in a particular way, right? Like closer to Aaron Sorkin than maybe like whoever wrote The Wire or The Sopranos, right? Like it's not hardcore, but we need to have these things of like, here's where we butt heads and why, and here's how we're going to continue on with each other despite that. And like I think that's so important, and that's sort of what a 90-minute movie is for, as opposed to more effects, which this did not have, and more plot, which this did not have.
This did not have that. I did a part I liked, and I think the actresses honed in, and this is the part where I was like, well, it's working, so fuck wherever they landed, was Hot and Wynonna. Hot is jealous that her wife's sister is in town. Her wife's sister is a fuck up. She got over that and got used to it and loved her. This movie keeps telling us they're best friends, which I don't think ever was true. But she's jealous that the fuck up sister's back in town, shaking up their craft room loving life. All that stuff totally worked for me.
No, this is the best part of it, is Hot and Wynonna, because they're both jealous of each other because of Waverly, and Wynonna brings Waverly to this like Earpy always needs danger, always needs excitement side, and Hot clearly swung the pendulum too far, where now all Waverly wants to do is say, do we need a second craft room? Like, should we knock out another wall so my craft room could be bigger?
Is that, if you're having a second craft room, is it because you're doing new kinds of crafts that will clash, like this is the woodworking room and this is the yarn-based room, or is it you have so many crafting supplies, then you need a second one?
Okay, so here's the room I do my work. Here's the room where I go to get supplies.
I love that, yeah, like a
You
Netflix
love that?
type game show.
You love that.
Loves that.
That's
why, like, you cook in this room, but you have to sprint to the warehouse, and you only have 30 seconds to get all the sugars you might need for your new cake.
Why do you keep bringing these reality shows into your house to film you running back and forth doing crafts, which you don't like doing? You don't even like doing crafts.
I'm pitching. I won the lottery, and I'm just hiring these film students to film me do crafts I don't know how to do, and I say, send it to Netflix, kids, and they go, what? And I slam my door in their face.
If I have 2 craft rooms, there's obviously 2 things going on. Number 1, I am making cheese as bad as it can be, so I can single it up, so people have something to like have, because people love opening presents and they want to take that cellophane off that single, even though it is the worst cheese. And then obviously the second craft room is actors will drive to my second craft room to eat.
Crafty.
Yeah. Well, there's your craft room and your crafty room.
The other thing that I enjoyed with this movie, I would say the emotional moments they still definitely have, especially between Wynonna and Doc. Like, those two could really bring it home.
A moment that surprised me, because it's obvious I was not in the bag for most of this experience, and it was a long fight, and they looked like the putties from fucking Power Rangers were fighting them on a train, and I was just like, oh, come on, movie, wrap this up. But then Doc and Wynonna were like hugging each other while shooting and spinning. I was like, all right, show. All right.
Oh, Mikey. Cassie, yes, sorry, go ahead.
That whole fight scene had me cracking up because there was moments when you could see that there is no budget, and it did not shine any clearer than in that moment. Between the intro to the Hellhounds with those actors, those unnamed actors giving the performance of their fucking life, just crawling out from a train like hand first to be a Hellhound, that is a human being wrapped up. Why not? And then them slowly trying to slow them down on the train, but the camera can't fully track it and it has a weird blur to it. So good.
And like, honestly, I think I really enjoyed this more than I'm way above Mike, but I would love to join him on this train of talking shit. I do think that it's so clear that you didn't have the budget, and it's not because of what the Hellhounds look like, but because you didn't have the footage that you wanted. Like, they called time on the day before you shot everything, and so we had to watch stuff like this. Also, it didn't feel like they had the budget for good slow motion. Like, they had to go to like slowmotionminus.com and pay like the $4.95 a month to use that.
It was a clear sign that the villain, the 18th person to come from the Earp past for revenge, she every once in a while turns into like goo. And when the Capri Sun commercials from the 90s have a better looking goo person than your 2024 show, you might be a redneck.
Also, the iPhone has a better slow-mo feature than they did.
Yeah.
Like, just bust out the iPhone for that one if that's all you had.
Sean Baker's Tangerine mostly looks better than this movie. Also, not to nitpick, but I know John Woo's whole thing of like, I'm shooting with 2 guns this way where my arms go. What if I cross my arms and then shot them in the opposite way? That doesn't work and you're just one person. If you are hugging and dry humping, but also as like a strategic effort to kill the hellhounds, that doesn't work. It's not as horny as it is in the casino where they almost die and she lays down and Doc throws a knife into somebody's hand. So I guess he's supposed to stick there. He pulls the knife out and gets away or just stands there. And they're still both like, should we just fuck right now?
We're fucking.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, that scene was good.
Fucking do it.
That's at the very beginning, and that's when I was like, oh, they're right to it. They're right to what Wynonna's about. Perfect. There was like mid-mission, they found time to fuck. I'm so proud of them.
It felt at times like they had written down, like, here's what a Wynonna Earp has to do. And then so I was like, wow, they haven't done a slow down, super sensual Nicole and Waverly fuck yet. And it felt like the movie went, oh, God, we got to stop everything and do that. Like, it didn't. There's certain moments they did not feel natural. It really felt like they're like, check this now.
Here's like, I don't know if this is fair, Mike, to say, but, and Cassie, I don't know where you are on this spectrum, but I didn't remember any of the story because it's been 3 years, but I remembered all of the tone from the last 3 years.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that you guys remember too much story and not enough tone?
Or I just think the tone might be almost there, but off, and I think it's a real easy one to fuck up. And I think maybe the writers were out of practice.
When Wynonna's tied to a chair in the beginning, and they're talking about tacos or something, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's mine. That's nacho taco."
Mm-hmm.
That's not a perfect example of what we want from a Wynonna Earp long ass
Sure.
episode.
I'm not saying they all missed, but a lot missed.
There would.
Even I like when they're not clever. They just called somebody Snow Snatch in the beginning. I think Mercedes called the bad guy that. I'm like, okay, I love that. Or later when the villain was like, you stupid gash. I was like, I haven't heard that word said like that. That's crazy.
Cassie, I'll ask you about this
a
one.
minute.
When Wynonna dives down on what she thinks is a suicide mission, and then goes into underwater hell to fight her bad guy, which is a like youth leader.
Her like foster home
leader,
den mother,
who Wynonna made fun of twice in the past, and therefore I'm going to send all of hell towards you. They go down to hell to fight each other, and that youth pastor, orphan organizer is like, "I'm going to kill you, you cunt."
Yeah.
Tubi. Tubi.
Wait.
Sci-fi would never do this.
Wait.
Did
she actually say
there's a lot for.
Yes, she did.
She did. There's a
going
lot
back.
forgettable about. There's a lot forgettable about this villain, but she does have a thesaurus level knowledge for female genitalia. That is her truest superpower.
A thesaurus level knowledge of what Mike said when he got in trouble and called his mom when he was 8 years old.
See,
stupid gash.
it's good, actually. I think we've determined that this is just all good.
Do you know what might be is like if we all were in the Pop Filter Theater together eating popcorn and drinking, maybe it would be a great time.
Yeah.
But there's so many dead quiet moments where I could just sort of see my reflection in the too dark scene and went, what are you fucking doing with your life?
I think that that's a really good point, and I wish I was there with you guys. And every week we watch the main event together, and this week we just decided not to. But my full theater, or just with you guys out loud laughing, is when I'm alone, just being like, okay, that counts. That's what I mean by laughter, but I'm by myself. When I can't remember if it was Wynonna or the bad guy, but they were in hell and calls her Studio Shifty Whore.
Yeah.
Which is a play on Studio 54. But there was nothing like 70s horror.
There's nothing.
See,
There's
good.
no setup to why that might
It's
work.
perfect.
I mean, they did, like, and again, I like this, and I love the show, but they went to, what is it,
Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary.
UrbanDictionary.com and typed in vagina and used every fucking word
Yes.
that came up.
They also
This ain't your grandfather's Tubi.
he really tried to find all the ways to use like current lingo. Who is the old sheriff?
Nedley.
Nedley used the word Riz in a way that I wasn't ready for that word to come out of his mouth or be at that area in that sentence. I was like, what is happening? There was some characters that definitely fell off.
Yeah, I mean, like, 3 years is kind of a long time, and are we off? as viewers. Like, we have consumed 3 years of stuff. Like, our expectations move up a lot. So, like, are we sort of forgetting, if there was a Legends reunion show, like,
but with that again, did it justify its runtime? No. So maybe if this was like, we're back and it's 44 minutes, there's a lot less room to be bullshit.
No, see, like, I would totally agree with you if it was plot heavy, but it just wasn't. They were just hanging out, and so I would have done 3 hours for sure.
And I would agree with you, but then I wouldn't have the shot of an empty field except for 3 dudes in a costume dressed as a hellhound running up to somebody, and we watched that for 10 seconds as they approach Monty Python style.
Yes, it was fucking Monty Python style. There were definitely times where I'm like, are they making fun of us?
But, like, I think that's how it became one of our favorite shows, right? Like, I think that you can trace the arc of superhero show, this podcast, with Dark Matter, Legends, and Wynonna, of just, like, coming to terms with the fact that this is how TV works. They're dictating. We're here for it, we think. And I think that shows that we give a pass to, and I feel like I am giving this a pass more than you guys, is that, like, I don't know and I don't care. Either that's funny on purpose or on accident,
right?
But I'm laughing.
Ryan, I think it was a perfect movie, 100 out of 100. No notes.
Which is crazy because you gave Citizen Kane a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, this Wynonna Earp, it's 10 out of 10. It's perfect. There's a sign that they put up in their house that said "Homo Sweet Home." That was a whole plot point.
And that was a typo from, like, TJ Maxx?
Yeah, they got it for like at a discount from Hobby Lobby.
Oh, yeah, which is fucking anti-gay as shit. Also, like, we love signs because we're, what's that word? Chuggy?
Basic.
We're all chuggy. But the end, the end goes out and it shows the mailbox and it says Earp. And then it goes up and reveals a sign that says, like, and also hot and also and whoever.
And sometimes Holiday.
But the camera goes up. If you're walking up to that mailbox, you would not do that. You would read it down because of, like, how books work.
Nah.
And so because the last thing, but really the first thing's, and demons at least please knock. So the first thing
you would start the story.
Demons please first knock. Welcome everybody.
You would start the story with, and demons please knock, and you'd be like, already, James Joyce or whoever wrote this mailbox sign, I am confused.
No, but I'm going to start my next book with, and demons please knock.
We're out of time. I do want to mention right at the end of this, we do have a very sad moment. Doc does get shot, does get dead, does die, gets buried. But it seems like nobody's really worried about this and that they will find a way to bring him back in their audio series. What's next for Wynonna?
I think the audio series, because it's like Tales from... My vibe, just on the poorly read... I love these actors, but they read their character lines very poor in this Audible commercial.
Yeah.
Is that it takes place like in the 3 years.
Okay.
So it's like Star Wars comics. Like,
yeah.
We got to wedge in stories... Wedge and Tilly's. Am I right?
And that's why Star Wars has been bad, because Wedge hasn't showed
Where
back.
the fuck
Love
is
Wedge.
Wedge?
Love that guy. Miss that guy.
Wedge? Probably eating a goddamn salad, hanging out with his friend Cobb.
He's on a roll. Let him go. Just let him go. Let's go to moment of the week for this one. Mike, since you were more negative, I'll go with you. Does anything stand out that you were like, that was cool?
Yes, because I was like, I know I'm going to talk mostly shit, so I do have a good... And it is, Melanie Scarfano is so good at delivering lines. The bad guy says, you can't... They're trapped in hell. And it looks like shit. It's the worst. They're just like...
So bad.
People are like... They have weird lines, and people are clearly like have bed sheets that lights are reflecting on, like kind of waving them, then that's what hell is.
Like if children set up a haunted house for trick-or-treat for Halloween.
Yes. And the bad guy says, you can't win. And even though everything looks like shit and it is what it is, she says, but I can keep making you lose. And she puts like everything in that. It's not just the quips. It's like that like rod of steel at her core. I was like, fuck yeah, Wynonna. And so, yeah, her delivery of that line I thought was balls.
Wynonna will always bring him back. Ryan, what is your moment of the week?
Oh, Cassie, I have so many. I'm going to start with Doc Holliday, right, who in the lore of this show and also the star of Tombstone, and I think we've all agreed that the best portrayal of Doc Holliday is this person and not Val Kilmer.
Tim Rosen.
Right? Tim Rosen.
Yeah.
Just like what a fantastic old ass 290-year-old, 490-year-old boyfriend. And Wynonna's like, let's gamble all the money we just stole on blackjack. And he's like, maybe we don't. And she's like, oh, you're boring. And that is the most insulting thing he has ever heard. Because to be Doc Holliday and then to be in a relationship with Wynonna Earp, like that's such a stab in the heart. So much so that he goes on one of his apparently like retreats that will go for days. That's not good husband work. But I do understand that feeling of like, fuck, man, call me fat. Just call me fat. Don't call me boring. I want to talk about Mercedes, who I think had powers at the end of the last show.
She's one of the many who had powers on and off throughout the run of the show.
But this demon came and turned her body into the word Earp, which that was fucking sick. And then finally, I am going to say that my final moment of the week, because I had 3. I didn't just have 2. You guys are thinking, oh, he just had 2 and he's like stalling right now. I'm not.
You'll never think that.
I'm going to say Melanie Scrofano. Is that how you...
Sure. I say Scarfano, but I don't know.
Because
I don't know
I do think that we're sort of inundated right now with TV characters whose whole entire character is I don't care. Just whatever you do.
Just a kind of pop in their life.
I'm not interested in what you're saying, and so they just walk away. We might talk about that later tonight in this episode, but with her, the way that she does it is so full of like pathos and like, I do care, but will you recognize that I care, even though that I'm saying that I'm not? I hope that she gets another iconic TV role very soon.
Word.
My moment of the week is just the entire fight with the Hellhounds. If you watch just any moment of it, go to that. It's beautiful and perfect. I love every second of it.
Have you ever seen somebody...
Hey, I want to interrupt. I remembered a dumb one.
Go for it.
In the beginning, Nedley and Mercedes, 2 great side characters, are ice fishing, and they start running because a big thing coming from the deep, and they're sprinting. They are together in a white wasteland. There's nothing around. They're running to where they are both parked. And then there's a cut, and suddenly Mercedes is in the woods away from Nedley and does not know where he went. What the fuck, show? And that's when I went, oh, yeah. I think there's parts of this that I've wiped out, and it wasn't always great.
But, like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about, like, they didn't have time to finish shooting, and they had to edit around it. But, Cassie, back to your Hellhound point. If you've ever seen somebody put a costume on at Spirit Halloween and then try to steal it and run out of the store as fast as possible, that's what the Hellhounds look like.
When you picture Hellhound, it's a dog. Everything I've seen that portrays a Hellhound, dog. They didn't even give it a shot. They said, here is the leftover costumes at Spirit Halloween. Put them on, and we will act this out.
Do you dress like you shop at Hot Topic? Cool. Okay, I'm going to spit tobacco on you 3 times, and we're ready to shoot.
And that's it. Let's go. If you want to watch it, you should give it a shot. Let us know how you feel about it. It is on Tubi, which is free, you guys. You can watch it for free on Tubi. Shout out.
Point of order, if you want to be able to pause it and come back, you do have to make an account on Tubi. Did I start it over several times and fast forward to find my spot?
Yeah.
Yes, before I figured it out. And the account, it's very easy to make, and it is still free.
But if you're not about it, just suffer. Just suffer with us. That is it for Wynonna. Let's talk about a website, though. Ryan, I believe you were conjuring up a big website idea, and now is your time to tell the people about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I live in a tough world. I go to tough bars. I sit in tough movie theaters. And what is always there but just giant jugs of people's spit. People love putting a chew in, putting a jaw in, putting a tobacco teeth.
Sneeze.
And they have to put that spit somewhere, but it's not their job to throw it away. Guys, they leave that jar there. And Mike and I are trying to turn that into art. Mike, what is the first... So, like, we've been putting the spit juice back into our mouth and then spitting it at canvases. And what's the first, like, sort of art that we're doing?
Well, what I like is, I mean, we come from our artistic lineage It comes from Pollock.
Uh-huh.
It's a commentary on what is art. It's also because we've been going back to school. Not just that you have masters in doo-doo and farts. We're working on psychology, so it's Rorschachian.
Sure.
So it's big 10 by 10 canvases made of animal skin, and then our tobacco spit on top of that. And it's, what do you see? What is this art to you?
And when we put those jugs of tobacco juice, when we put them in our mouth so we can spit them on the canvas, do we swallow a little bit? Of course we do. It's just part of the game. But
we're not prudes.
You have to suffer for your art.
And art is only suffering. And so, of course, there's also some vomit on these canvases.
Well, I mean, we just swallowed tobacco juice, so yeah.
Yes.
You guys...
And other people's tobacco juice.
Our seminar, what do we call it? Our exhibit, it's called From Here and Tobacco Again. And so many lovely things to see. And it reeks, guys. I would wear not just face masks, but like clothespins on your nose.
Some of our fans have started calling them the Posy Crew, and just like they have the little bags, little handkerchiefs full of flowers, and holding up a la the Black Plague in England. You just hold that up your nose so you don't have to smell
Or
it.
wear one of those big bird beak masks from the Black Plague, and then you'll be fine. But if a little barf is coming, barf that onto the canvas. Do you?
You're part of the art.
I mean,
now.
like the masters, if you brought a can of paint and saw their work, they would want you to put some paint on their work. Put a little barf on ours.
Put a little barf on.
I think we get the idea. I'll be straight up. This sucks. All around.
The first time ever.
Sucks. This was the one that made me almost throw up myself, and there's no canvas for me to throw up upon, so it would have been a waste. I hate it, but I know some freaks who might love it, and that's cybersprout.net. They will help you build this website. They will come by and also throw up on your canvas, I'm sure. But when it comes to the website, they got design experts that are well-versed in digital strategy, elegant design, and they combine the two masterfully. They provide tools and training that make managing and tweaking your business website a breeze. Just hand it over to them at cybersprout.net. Go ahead and visit them. They're your partner for a digital world. That is it for the main segment. Let's go to the pull list and talk about some other shows. We are back to talk about our other favorite shows of the week. Starting it off, let's talk about Agatha All Along. On the premiere of Agatha All Along, we meet back up with Agatha, or Agnes, who is stuck in the remnant of Wanda's spell, having to continue to act out scenes inspired by various TV shows. The first episode cast Agatha as a rough-around-the-edges disgraced detective trying to solve a murder. She eventually breaks free of the spell thanks to the help from a gay teen wannabe witch who convinces Agatha to find a coven and walk the witch's road with him. In the second episode, we see them gathering witches for the coven and conjuring the road. Taste buds, I ask you, we loved WandaVision, but then at some point people started to lose hope that this series would be good. How do you feel about it after watching the first 2 episodes?
Well, I mean, like, we're part of that, right? Because I seem to remember a big, long superhero episode with a bunch of emails where we were like, oh, that list of shows for the rest of the year, clearly Agatha will be the worst of them.
Yeah, there was a real negative tone to Agatha. And I don't know when it happened specifically or why.
I think it's the stank of the MCU. Mm-hmm. It's not the people involved in this project who Jack Schaefer, same showrunner, did really well. Would love Catherine Hahn. The new casts are filling out. They're talented folks.
Oh, really, Mike? Patti LuPone? Talented? You think so?
Patti LuPone, I think, is going to go places. Joe Locke, where we love him around these parts, around these heartbreaking parts. Heart-stopping parts?
Heartstopper.
It's not called Heartbreaker. Get it through your head.
And it always breaks my heart when it's not on, Ryan. But yeah, it really is just the general bad taste of Marvel. Is why we're like, fuck Agatha.
Go for it, Ryan.
Before I watched this, I thought about what we had talked about how like we never hate anything over the last like 5 years of Marvel, but we never love it. Or if we do hate it, it's because like we miss loving something so much. But like it's the competency thing of like, this is so competent that I guess I'll give it 3 stars, even though the story was poor. There's nothing to like be engaged with. And so that was my big nervous thing. Is not like that it was going to look like shit or that it was going to have to like I was going to have to be on like its level like a Wynonna or Legends where like it's either buy in or it bombs. And the direct nature of most of these 2 episodes of like we have a goal, we have a villain. Here are the characters. Shall we go on our journey? You know the way that stories have been told since the dawn of man? That appealed to me so much about these 2 episodes.
Hell yeah.
And that they felt like episodes. Where our complaint of so many of from the House of Ideas, they don't know how to make TV shows often, but again, Jack Schaefer does. And so these felt like episodes, and not just the second one. I liked that it wasn't like, oh, here's the new kind of show it's going to riff on. It made sense for Agatha to leave that in the first episode, and now we're on an actual journey, and I hope it continues to stay episodic, and each one has like, here's what we're doing in tonight's episode.
Okay, that's true. And I love the second episode, although we did have a little bit of Act 2 repetition because another witch, another, we have to ask you to be on the team. You have to deny being on the team. Then you're on the team.
The band getting together.
That's just classic, though.
But didn't that just point out, like, the unnecessariness of the first act of the first episode of how, like, they're not going to commit to this. So why did you do this?
It went on a little long. But there's so many things that I enjoyed, like based on the Danish series WandaVision with the umlaut over the O.
Can we not do my moments of the week immediately?
I'm sorry. Eat my ass, Chief.
But Mike, this was a parody of like a Sunday night HBO show, so therefore Cassie thought it was the worst thing she had ever seen.
Yeah.
The beginning?
Yes.
Yeah, the beginning of the first episode.
No, it took me a little bit to understand what Catherine was doing in it, because I was like, she can act like a motherfucker. Like, why is it not fully selling? But then, as it progressed, and it was like, she's trying to break through this spell, knowing it's half not right. So it was just this mix of like she's doing this character a little bit off of and like not selling it. But that was the intention. So.
And like
it's hard to not just riff off moments. No, go Ryan.
The sitcoms, and like I do think that especially in retrospect, WandaVision is the most successful TV show, right? Like we loved it when it came out, but then seeing what came out after that, we're like, oh shit, WandaVision is so good because of the mediocrity of everything that since.
The noxious mediocrity. I felt like that was a dig at other Disney shows when Catherine said that.
This first part was, I guess I've seen satires before, but I've definitely seen I Love Lucy and all of the shows, the Dick Van Dyke Show, all the shows from WandaVision, I've definitely seen satirized a billion times. This, not so much. Of the Mayor of Easttown, True Detective Season 3 with Jodie Foster, just the embittered single woman who has got nothing left but her job, so everyone she talks to is like, hey, can I buy a donut? Sure, which one do you want? How about you go fuck yourself? Just like how she talks to everybody. It was... added with the opening credits, it was pitch perfect. I'm just looking at the 2 episodes together. I feel like I kind of wasted my time.
It was maybe a touch too long.
Or like, do you guys remember WandaVision instead of being our own new thing?
I think what's sprinkled in the new thing for me is and can still argue there's still mysteries there, even though she knows. Thankfully, that wasn't a whole series thing. She knows who she is, but like, who the fuck is Aubrey Plaza? Who is Joe Locke? Like, and how they're
which we should
up.
Definitely get to later.
And yes, and the Aubrey Plaza especially because we did see her in the knife fight. I was gonna say, did we even see her out of the fantasy? So we have, but like that set her up in a very interesting. Will they again? Antagonistic lover role that I think worked. I don't know that part, the FBI coming in, all of that sold is like all of this relationship is based on how the little cops and is also how these 2 witches are anyway. And so I feel like they did a lot of shorthand and shortcutting there, even if the rest of the episode and being stuck in the fantasy felt too long.
And all I'm asking you to do if you're going to satirize something is just ruin it for me forever.
Yeah.
And so, like, I thought, first of all, because of the trees and, like, the color of the film and the jackets, it was Silence of the Lambs. And then it continues to be, it's clearly an HBO, prestige Sunday night series. And, like, I won't be able to take them as seriously the next time I watch one of those. And that means it did its job.
When she said, where were you last night? And he's like, asleep. She said, asleep in bed. Total loser.
While writing it down, like, fakely in her pad, like a word per page. So
these cops are ridiculous.
They're ridiculous. There is a lot of mystery in the background and just everywhere. Because there is this teen who gets introduced, or who's just teen, as far as I know. Just a teenage kid.
And the fact that he can move from one of our shows to another one of our shows, how great is that?
Only Tim Rosen has been able to do that in the past. And so we have a new Tim Rosen, folks.
But, like, there's this whole thing of, like, who he is, because he tries to say his name and, like, give the whole background. It's always blocked for Agatha. So there's something there. We also have, like, in the room, there was, like, a plaque upstairs, like in the kids' room. It was like to Nick Scratch, and Nick Scratch is Sabrina, isn't he?
Well, yeah, it's a common name apparently in comic books.
Oh, okay.
Nick Scratch is a common name for when the devil wants to run around and cause mischief on Earth. But in the comic books, Nick Scratch is Agatha's son.
Okay.
It also describes me if I'm shaping my face. I mean, Nick Scratch,
you just
Nick
get nicked and scratched.
Yeah. Nailed it.
And her rabbit, and they did not, I don't think they reiterated this from WandaVision, his name is Mr. Scratchy.
That's adorable.
What I don't know is that are we talking about Nick Scratch the rabbit the entire time? And because we're doing an HBO Sunday night series, the single female cop has to have trauma. And so we're going to deliver that as if the rabbit had its own bedroom. Or if we're actually talking about Agatha's actual son who died.
Mm-hmm.
Who Sasha Zamir said, you've done child sacrifice before. Nick Scratch, your son isn't around. Did she kill her own son for power?
And then, like, Nick Scratch is like me shaving. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ryan, that's hilarious.
So good. Ooh.
I hope the next writers of Wynonna Earp hire you.
The second
Do not love that insult, but keep going, Kathy.
The second episode we did get, so we mentioned that, like, it was a little repetitive where we're introduced to each of the witches, but also each of the witches is such a strong actor in themselves that I just was here enjoying each little character that we got introduced to.
What different kinds of douchebags they are.
Yeah.
Was delicious.
Yeah.
Just, like, deny the call in the worst way you can, right? And, like, that's sort of how you build your character. It's, like, it's not that we're introduced to you and then you have to deny the call in the same way, but the way you deny the call to the journey is very important. And so we do get, I just thought, like, if I had my druthers, this would be 22 incredible episodes and that would have been strung out. But, like, you guys know how I don't want surfing Dracula. And so the creation of the coven is done. Like, the way that the second episode ends when they're taking off their shoes and then going on the walk, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I would wear my shoes. That's a weird mystical twig laden. You're going to get weird splinters.
It's going to be a terrible time.
If a speck of dust fell on the top of my bare foot, I would fall down and die. Like, they are crazy people.
Side note, a lot of close-up shots of feet in these two episodes in a way that I did not enjoy. Just a lot of feet.
I didn't realize you had a thing like Ryan had a thing.
Yeah, it's not great. They're not great. If you look at them,
which means 2 against 1 that me and Cassie are normal and Mike is a foot freak.
Mike's the weirdo.
I feel like I have a healthy relationship with feet. I'm not into all feet.
Okay, Quentin.
Okay. Suspicious.
But I am specifically into Quentin Tarantino's feet.
I am excited to continue the rest of the series. This one ended at, like, obviously, like, the beginning of our journey of what this all is going to lead to, because they are just starting off walking on the road. So it was a hard spot to just stop at and not continue on, but I'm excited for this series.
I mean, Cassie, when was the last time you said that? As a person who hates TV shows based on comic books and podcasting, when was the last time that you said, "Oh, I wish I could watch the next episode"?
I know. It's been so long.
But yeah, I cannot fucking wait.
Are you guys?
What?
Are you both in the same boat? Are you down with this as well, Mike?
Oh yeah, I could just watch Catherine Hahn be mean to people for no reason for days. It was so fun to watch it. She's so weird and mean, and then her and Teen have such a fun banter where like when they're alone, she wants to fucking kill him, but when there are other people and she sees he's useful, they have a good like, ha 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 ha. Here's how we get one over on other people. Like, yeah, I think it's gonna be really enjoyable to watch the two of them specifically.
Which
together.
I actually think that is how most pet owners are. I know that you
Yes.
two freaks treat your dogs like family, but most people only treat their dogs like family when people are around, and when they're not around, they're like, "Get the fuck out of here, you stupid piece of shit dog."
That makes me so sad.
So sad.
I know it's not true, but it's sad.
This is what I was talking about before, though. I do need Catherine Hahn's character to build up a little bit more. I think she's doing great. I think she's doing great with the material, but I need the scripts to get better, where it's not just obviously, I'm gonna rip down this sign that says "Welcome Coven." Obviously,
Right.
I'm going to grab the pen that you said was in the glove compartment and then throw it out the window. We need more than that, and it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like we also have to start there. So,
True, and you know that's what's hard about not binging things is I haven't seen it all, but they're on the right path, the road. They're on the right
road. They're on the
Bridges
We're
road.
on the right road.
The longest fucking song in the world. We got to
God.
sit through all of it, which made me start laughing a lot. It went on so long. I was like, is this the bit?
But like the joke that we missed that when I watch this again, and you guys know that I always go back and rewatch all the MCU TV stuff. I've seen Cloak and Dagger 7 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it. Is that the title song for Agnes of Easttown was the Witch's Road song, but like in that slow wire HBO sort of way.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Another good bit is just Deborah Jo Rupp, who is just also there because she's a gardener. Her not knowing the song and trying to sing along throughout it.
Also, does she understand she's a witch? I'm so
She doesn't know
I'm so
anything.
confused. It's so good that she's just down for this journey.
I have a
She's
very
someone's
important
friends,
question
man.
to ask both of you. Is this the first MCU nudity? And how important is this in the annals of television history?
How important is it in the annals of television, Ryan? Because we saw that ass.
And that's all we really needed to get out of that question.
I think we saw a top of Gemma Chan's butt in Eternals in the very erotic, and it showed too much. Barely her and Robert Stark were on each other for 1 second in Eternals that people freaked out about.
Oh, Mike, did I tell you I canceled all of my porn subscriptions because that one scene of Eternals gets the job done?
It's so sexual.
It's so erotic, you know? I just love it. All right, Eternals.
But I think it is more in a way like she is our Sipowicz. It's still taking down cop shows. Let's see those butts. And it's just nudity on Disney Plus. I was fucking shocked. My jaw on the ground.
And Disney Plus, if you're listening, we have some notes. Catherine
More.
Hahn as Agatha. We've seen her butt. Megara from Hercules. Could she be next? That would be so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of need that as general. That's for everyone. Let's go to, we've kind of hit a couple of them, sure, but let's go to moments of the week. Mike, what do you got?
Seeing Catherine Hahn's butt. Definitely one of them. The line delivery of, I swear these won't all be butt based, but eat my ass, chief. Has that been said around my house since I watched the show a bunch? For sure.
And it's important to point out, and that this is how we know it's a TV show and not her reality, is that he hears that and stops.
Yeah.
And sure, although he has authority, sure, he has one of the more misshapen heads of any actor in Hollywood. But typically, in real life, if you would say that to somebody, they would not stop talking. They would keep talking, but louder. And the fact that he hears that and goes away, perfect.
And the internet has helped me here, but watching interactions with the townspeople when she's realizing she's naked and realizing that they have, remember, Wanda is the boogeyman. They're all terrified of her, and they're all very aware that Agnes is still stuck under the spell they were all under. So she's just the lost lamb the town has to deal with, but pities her and takes care of her, even though, because they don't know what a piece of fucking shit Agatha actually is very like sweet and endearing from the town.
And the guy doing his bushes or whatever, he's like, Well, I think it just seemed like you were into a true crime kick recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, having watched 2 episodes, we know she straight up said to that father of a kid that is the chief in her world, but in her neighborhood, she was like, "Eat my ass, chief," to that guy. I want that life.
Her seeing her fake car, and she realizes her fake car.
Okay, Mike, do you need like 20 minutes for your moments of the week? Do you need to
Yes,
cover
yes, I
every?
do, Ryan. This is how it feels to be after you, Ryan. Go. Now you do it.
My turn?
Your turn.
I said so.
Oh, you said so. I was actually asking the host of the show.
Wow, what a
Aubrey
polite
Plaza.
boy.
I am going to go with. It feels like Agatha Catherine Hahn has got her juju back. Like she's ready to go. She's ready to fight. Fuck this teen. Is trying to decide whether he should go down the road with her or not. And then she sits down in a kitchen table chair with kitchen made steering wheel and a place where you put your keys and a mirror, and just like real quick, it's a cutaway, like not a spotlight on it. Oh, this is not a car, and then realizes what we can see in her face what the rest of the neighborhood has been going through of her just thinking things like this is a car. That's my number one. My number two, Mike also ruined because it's tradition. Her talking to Joe Locke, the actor, teen. And we didn't get to teen. Can we get to that, Cassie, after your moment of the week?
Absolutely.
Her in the interrogation booth, and she said, "Oh, are you a?" She was like, "Are you a loser or a try hard?" And the way she did it was like that was the most like pitch perfect satirization of every cop show I've ever watched. All you want is like if you're gonna do something a little bit off brand, you just need your star to be down with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we have right now, right?
Yeah, she's killing it. There was also my moments of the week when we were talking about that the neighbor that she goes to when she's naked because he's pruning like his bushes. He has a line delivery at the end of just like she wanders off or says something and he's like, "Yeah, do you want to put on clothes because you're naked?" And it's just the perfect delivery. It was so funny.
He has a very 80s job. Like, this is the part of 80s comedies. Like, at the end, when they start, they're about to go down the hole or the witch's road. And then Joe Locke comes out, and there's spirits at the end of the street. And he's like, "What the fuck are those?" Like, that was just a job in the 80s to deliver lines like that.
He's perfect at it.
And also, I have a lot of weird neighbors. I love his whole, like, I'm not going to look for 9 seconds, but every 10th second, I'm going to look at your naked body, and then I'm going to cover you back up with my hand.
We also, when we meet up with one of the witches, she's Sashir Zameda. She's like very like Gwyneth Paltrow-y. And Agatha just comes in yelling about she needs a Kegel stone to throw up her her vagina.
Hoo-ha.
Yeah, so good. That whole interaction, I loved it. But Ryan, I did promise you we could talk about teen for a little bit. So, what do you want to talk about teen?
Well, I think this is a mystery, right? Like, we don't know why he's not able to say his name. And it appears that he is saying his name and doesn't think anything's weird. And Agatha can't hear it, right?
Yeah. That's what
anything about his background, she can't hear.
Yeah.
So, Cassie, who is this person?
I don't know. It's got to be somebody that was in, I don't know. You tell
Mike,
me.
who is this person?
I think that the internet seems to think the most obvious it would be Billy Maximoff, one of Wanda's kids. And so, why does he want to go on the witch's road? Maybe because before he had a brother and he doesn't, and he wasn't a real boy and now he is. But is that just so obvious? So that can't be what it is.
I don't think so because most people are Cassie, and few people
Right.
are as brilliant as like Megamind as us with all of our knowledge and going on Reddit. So I think it's definitely Billy. I think it's definitely Wiccan. And that was doubled down on when his boyfriend called and we saw a picture of him and he looks just like Hulkling, who is Wiccan's boyfriend. A Skrull who is obsessed with Hulk and changes into them. So yeah, I do think it's Billy. It's just when he finds out or Agatha finds out.
Right.
If you want to watch it, it's on Disney Plus. You should be watching it. I'm sure you already are. Next up, let's talk about Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
On the 10th and 11th episode of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we have Donnie hanging out with Wingnut and Leonardo hanging out with Pete the Pigeon. Taste buds, I ask you this. What questions do you have for me about this show?
Mostly, I feel like every week you said, I'm done with this show. And then every week we find out you watched more episodes of it. So what's going on with you, bud?
I mean, I'm so close to the end that I think I might just finish.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Let's talk about this, I guess. The Commissioner Gordon of the show has one giant fear, and he's chasing down Pete the Pigeon. Do you know what his fear is?
Pigeons.
Yeah, and he's right. All birds. All birds. If all birds died,
all birds.
The world would be a better place.
What's your least favorite shoe brand? Is it Allbirds?
Is that a shoe brand?
It is.
Then yes, it is. At the beginning of the episode, he gets a little bit of poop on his shoulder, and he's infuriated. But by the end, this guy is covered in poop, where he like opens his eyes, and that's the only thing you see instead of bird poop is his eyes.
Gross.
But can we be honest about something?
Let's do
We
it.
may.
I hate birds so much. They're awful, fucking flying, disgusting rats. But if they poop on you, it's a little bit of white goo. If any other animal poops on you, it's like it smells like shit. It's brown shit. But like white goo, not that bad.
You're a freak.
That's Ryan's take on bird poop. Ryan, who was your favorite turtle growing up? It was Raph, right?
It was Raphael.
Out of this new batch, Gremlins 2, the new batch of turtles, who's doing it for you? Who do you like?
Well, Mike, I have grown up to argue against such hateable, argue for such hateable characters as the lead character of Lost and Cyclops, and it has to be Leonardo, about these people who like everybody's like, we don't want a leader, and it's definitely not you, and then them saying, well, I guess I could lead, and they're like, fuck you, but thank you, but fuck you. I like that story arc.
Is this did these episodes, I know the last couple of ones had struggled a bit. Did getting these boys in the main light again, did that help it at all?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's still, the team's not together, but like they're funny and like they're creative, and if there's a season 2, I'm probably gonna pass because like it is hard to talk about and they are for children. Although I watched one of the episodes today with my daughter and she was like, too scary, fuck this, despite wearing a Ninja Turtle shirt while we watched it.
Yeah.
Did you tell her she was a fucking poser?
I did, yeah. And then I took my skateboard and I fucking did some awesome ollies.
Nice.
Let's go to
790.
Let's go to moment of the week. What was yours for this?
Oh, there's a point where Leo was like, hey, Mikey, did you watch that show last night? And Mikey was like, hell yeah. Catherine Hahn's butt. And I was like, yes, this show gets me.
Get it. If you want to check it out, it is on Paramount Plus. Go. Give it a shot. That is it for our show, though. It's time to close things up. And Mike, I would love it if you would talk about some websites.
Go to popfilter.co. That's where all of our stuff lives. Throw a little /Amazon on the back end of that. Popfilter got slow.
Yeah.
Popfilter.co/Amazon. That's how you shop now, and it helps us.
Go to those.
Those are our websites.
Great websites. Ryan, we have another podcast on the network. Can you tell the people about it?
Couple of months ago, I was in charge of something called Movie of the Year, 1984. And there weren't enough accolades. As you can see behind me, I framed them all about the hosting job I did. But then some motherfucker stepped up and said, oh, yeah? What about Movie of the Year 1996? And I was like, well, Mike, that's a different year, and you're a different person. He was like, I already knew both of those things. And I was like, you did? Damn. And then he was like, should we do this anyway? And I was like, no. And yet here we are in the beginning of 1996. Guys, Movie of the Year. Search for it on wherever you get your podcasts. It's such a good show.
It's a pretty good show. Just kidding. It's great. We are also I know. So funny. We're on social media. It's at Your Pop Filter on Instagram. Go ahead and give us a follow. We also got an email, which I'm sure you guys all know because you sent us all your emails last week, but we still...
Freaks.
You freaks. We'd still love to get more emails from you, though, and that email is contact@popfilter.co. That is it for this week. Next week, we will be talking about the premiere of Penguin. The Penguin. Sorry, almost forgot the on that. Plus, we're going to be talking about more Ninja Turtles and more Agatha. That is it for Mike. I'm Ryan. For Ryan, I'm Mike. For me, I am me. Bye, everyone.